It is a requirement for them to have life insurance if they're applying?
It's not an official requirement, but it's one of the questions that an immigration officer asks when a couple go there, when a husband is applying for the wife, or when the wife is applying for the husband. And now, because the people who deal with immigration procedure, they know that they can tell their customer, hey, you need to get life insurance. But as soon as something happens and that immigration procedure is over, they want to cancel the policy. So it's like they are getting it because it is a tool that will help them, per se, with their immigration paper, but not because they realize how important it is.
Welcome to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. If you ever asked, how do I protect myself and those I love if something unexpected happened to me? You're in the right place. I'm your host, Niki Weiss, and together we'll explore how to protect yourself in a world where both your physical and digital legacy leave a lasting impact. And welcome back to another episode of the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. My guest today is Yris Contreras. And Yris, you and I met because we're both in Philadelphia. I'm actually going to come down to your office in North Philly in just a few weeks. And we're going to talk to your clients about end-of-life planning and why it's so important. So welcome to the show. And please share with us and our audience what got you here today.
Thank you so much for having me here. Basically, I'm here because I want to speak about the importance of being prepared. I am an insurance agent. As an insurance agent for 18 or so years in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, I see how people wait until last minute to get a life insurance or to get a funeral membership, and then I can see the family worrying about it and having to deal with the tragedy of a death in the family. And they, at that moment is when they start thinking what was really needed and not, unfortunately, prior to that. So I think it's important that people start switching that mentality and start preparing ahead of time.
I mean, when we spoke weeks ago about being on the podcast and talking about it, one of the reasons there was a strong connection is because you're an immigrant. You're here in the United States, originally from the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it interesting. I talk a lot about how different cultures manage and are willing to talk about this planning process. And so for you, it's not just coming from a different culture, but what you learn being here in the United States and how unprepared some people are. What has been so shocking to you, and what made you step into the life insurance industry?
Basically, that is the Dominican Republic. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about being prepared. When we mention death, it's like what we are calling it ahead of time. We are, it's like a taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. And then when I came to the United States and I saw and I got to speak with Americans really born and raised in this country, it's like so different. You people are prepared. You people think about that more. Maybe not 100%, but a lot of people here does think about, for example, life insurance, and they know the importance of life insurance. In Dominican Republic, when I speak to someone about life insurance, they are like, oh, if it's to a man, they're like, oh, my wife gonna kill me just because I have a life insurance.
Oh, so they make a joke of it. They make a joke. Oh, if I get life insurance,
they're making a joke all the time, but they really don't want to. Like, I'm too young to get life insurance. I am too. They don't think understand that, hey, there is not an age for that, and when something happens, then unfortunately we had to depend on family members to help with funeral arrangement and everything else. In the United States, I've seen it that it's kind of different. I do kind of see from the American people, American perspective, they kind of think about that a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting that many companies and corporations offer life insurance as a benefit to their employees.
They do, however, within the, and I am not 100%, well, I see it more within the Hispanic population, that as soon as they switch the job and that life insurance, because usually group life insurance, so once you leave the job, you lose the life insurance if you don't decide to continue paying for it. Most people stop the life insurance there because they don't continue paying for it. They're like, okay, I don't need it. It's like now a lot of people also get life insurance, undocumented people when they are dealing with immigration paper and immigration application. They get life insurance because it's one of the requirements on immigration to kind of show.
I didn't know that. So wait, I had no idea. So if someone's seeking citizenship or a green card or citizenship?
Green card.
So it is a requirement for them to have life insurance if they're applying?
It's not an official requirement. It's not an official requirement, but it's one of the questions that an immigration officer asks when a couple go there, when a husband is applying for the wife, or when the wife is applying for the husband. They ask, is there a life insurance in place? And now, because the people who deal with immigration procedure, they know that they can tell their customer, hey, you need to get life insurance. Just get a life insurance on your spouse, or get a life insurance as a couple. And they get that. But as soon as something happens and that immigration procedure is over, they want to cancel the policy. So it's like they are getting it because it is a tool that will help them, per se, with their immigration paper, but not because they realize how important it is. And to them, it's not a priority. At the time of canceling policy, that's the first one that goes.
And for most of them, I would think that life insurance, I mean, it's an added expense. It's an insurance policy, right? So car insurance, health insurance, and now life insurance. It just starts to add up for a lot of people, yet it's when they don't have it where that huge expense comes in.
Unfortunately, and I think it is an added expense, but I think it should be a mandatory added expense like they do with auto insurance. We are obligated to have auto insurance. And if we have a mortgage, we are obligated to have homeowners insurance when we do have a mortgage. So why we are not obligated to have life insurance when somebody died and there is not a dime to cover for that funeral expenses? Where did that money come from?
And we talk all the time about how people, when they don't have life insurance, that they have to have a GoFundMe account or ask the community, right?
Exactly. Which to me, it makes no sense. Why we have to go and ask the community and wait for somebody to give you $1, $5, $10, whatever amount it is, to cover funeral expenses? And then people don't think about how expensive it can be. And at the time, like for those Latino, that a lot of people ask, oh, if I die here, I want to be going back. I want my body to be sent back to the Dominican Republic.
That's a big deal. That's a huge expense.
Or I want my body to go back to Mexico or to wherever it is. Hey, that is a big expense. It can cost, I don't know, anywhere between $13,000, $14,000 a funeral. And not everybody has that amount of money on the bank account just for a funeral.
So what you're describing is called repatriation. So is that something that is common practice where someone will immigrate to the United States, but when their death occurs, they want their body to be repatronized back to their home country?
And from people from my country, from the Dominican Republic, yes. You do get a lot of people that are sent back that they want to go back. For example, I will give you, for example, my own family. My mother and my father live in this country. My father said, if I die, just throw me anywhere, which we're not going to throw him anywhere, but that's what he said. But my mom said, if I die, when I die, I want to go back to the Dominican Republic. Like we had to take her body back to the Dominican Republic because that's her wishes, and she keeps mentioning that every time that we talk about death and funeral and stuff like that. And it is very common. A lot of people want to go back to their country. I know a lot of people from Mexico want to also go back to Mexico because I guess they want to go back not because so their family, whoever is there, since they're not here with entire family. Sometimes we are here just one person or two person out of the family, and we migrate here and we make our own little family here, but we have our other relatives in there. So I guess we want to go back so everybody gets at least to see the body.
And let's be clear, what you just said is you're not sending back ashes, you're sending back the
No,
full body. So, I
the
mean,
full body.
there's a high cost to that because I'm just thinking about the process. Somebody passes away here in the United States, so then a funeral home has to pick them up, has to pick up the body. They have to be embalmed, right? So they have to
Yes,
be embalmed. So they're going to pay for embalming, and then they have to buy a coffin of some
by
sort,
coffin.
and then they have to make arrangements with the airline,
Exactly.
right? Am I walking through
Yes,
this? And
yes,
then
you're
and how much does that cost? And then from the airline, I guess that there's custom forms and documentation because you're exporting somebody's.
it's a body, exactly. And then when the body gets to the Dominican Republic, a funeral home had to pick you up in there because it's not anyone that can just go and grab a coffin
Grab the
and take
van,
you.
family van.
So you need to have a funeral home do the service there to pick the body and do that service there according to the rules and regulation there. So it
Yes,
is.
it's a lot. I mean, this is okay for you and me since we're comfortable talking about this type of conversation. This is why I always say the worst time to plan a funeral is after somebody's dead.
After somebody's dead. It
Don't
is.
don't wait.
Don't wait. Unfortunately, a lot of people wait, but that's the worst time.
What got you interested in this? Coming from the Dominican, what intrigued you about stepping into becoming a life insurance, like selling life insurance to a Hispanic community?
I before I get into the insurance business, I was a paralegal. I was working with an attorney as a paralegal, and I got tired, and I say I want to do something different. And somebody talked to me about insurance, and I decided to do it, and I ended up loving it. I was like, I love insurance. And as I was working with the insurance, and then I kind of saw life insurance here and there, not making my priority until I had to pay a life insurance proceed to someone, the benefit to someone that I knew. This person was really young. His grandmother was the person who purchased. She was a police officer. So she bought a life insurance for her grandchild, not thinking that this grandchild was going to die anytime
Oh my
soon.
goodness. So the grandmother bought the life insurance for the grandchild,
For the grandchild.
and then the grandchild
Passed before the
unexpectedly.
grandmother did. And when he passed, she was sick. She did not have any money, and because she did not have this, but she had the life insurance. There was the life insurance, and there was an investigation on this because unfortunately he was murdered, so they want to make sure that he was not committing any crime at the time that he was murdered. So the company had to make some sort of investigation. But the way that the company made it easy for her, okay, we are not giving you this money right away, but we are going to start the process, and the insurance company and the funeral home and the insurance company kind of work together to make this process and make this funeral for these kids. And I was like, what will happen if she did not have anything for him? If there was no life insurance, she will have to be asking people and family members and whoever and putting a GoFundMe account for this kid. But the money was there through the life insurance. That's when I really got interested in it. I was like, this is important. It is important to have, because now I know. Now I kind of saw it with my own eyes how it can affect when someone died with and without life insurance.
So why do you think people let's say we'll just focus on your community, the Hispanic community, because I think death is a very taboo topic amongst most cultural communities. I mean, whether it's I'm talking to someone from Jamaica or a Hasidic Jew or, a born again Christian, I think that there is just this conversation that's being avoided. So
Yes.
as a life insurance agent, do people, when you walk in the door, do people walk the other way or are they drawn and attracted to you?
Now, I guess after COVID, to tell you the truth, after COVID, people did change their mind a little bit. People are changing their mind and they realize that it's not being pessimistic, because one of the things was like, oh, when I think about death, I'm being pessimistic and think I'm going to die, most or whoever my family member going to die soon. But after COVID, they realize that, hey, there is not an age limit, there is not something can happen all of a sudden, and it doesn't mean that you are being pessimistic. So that's when people are kind of thinking and welcoming the conversation more and more. But yes, before it was like, well, we don't want to talk about
Here
that.
comes Yris. I'm
Exactly,
going to
yeah.
avoid her. Can't ask her how work is.
Exactly.
So how do you ease people, as a professional, how do you ease people into this conversation and let them know that this is an important aspect of pre-planning?
I just ask it straightforward. And, hey, what will happen if you die today, if you don't make it home tonight? Do your family member have money to cover the funeral? It's like when I'm talking with someone about auto insurance or homeowners insurance, and okay, we finished the conversation. We finished why you are here. You are here for auto. You are here for homeowners or for business insurance. Now, what will happen if you don't make it home tonight?
And
Who
how
gonna cover
how
that?
receptive are people? Like, how do you ease them into the conversation, especially if you know that they need to talk about it, but they just can't find those words?
I don't kind of obligate them to talk about it per se, but I try to make it, and it just mentioning the way and telling them, hey, funeral is expensive, it can be costly, and if you don't prepare today, what will happen? And sometimes they don't, in terms of life insurance, I don't even mention, I try to kind of mention to them, what about life insurance as a benefit for you, not for your beneficiary? You can have a universal life policy that accumulates fund, a whole life policy that accumulates money, and you can, at the age of 65, 70, you can get that money back. That kind of attract them more than thinking about life insurance as a way to leave something to a beneficiary.
So why don't we talk about the different types of life insurance policies? Because I think some people are very confused by them. There are different ways of being paid out. So
Mm-hmm.
why don't you walk us through when you're
Well,
explaining to somebody the need for a life insurance policy, what's the easiest way to get in?
it's not as expensive as a lot of people think. Let's
Okay.
start with that. So we have term life policy that will take you for 10 years, 20 years. If you have a mortgage, I'm like, okay, if you have a mortgage and you have a loan for 20 years, what happens if you die prior to that 20 year? Who is going to continue paying for that mortgage? Who is going to continue? What happened to the family for your children or whoever you purchases this house for? So the term policy can be a 20-year term or a 15-year term. It's really inexpensive because it will cover if something happened within that period of time. The premium will not change, but the premium change after that 20-year per se. That does not accumulate any dividends. It doesn't accumulate any fund. But if something happened, you know that mortgage will be covered. So it's kind of short-term policy per se. And then we also have the whole life policy. Those policies can accumulate dividends. And within the whole life policy, we have what we call the universal life. It's just more flexibility. You can accumulate, some of the money get invested, and those are really long-term policy. you can see the benefit for yourself. You can battle against the policy after a period of time. But I normally tell the people, think about that policy as your retirement policy if you want to get money out of it. Don't think about, oh, I'm going to get 5 years after the policy, I'm going to get any money out of it, because you might get something, but nothing significant out of a policy. Those are really long-term policies. So those are more costly instead of premium, but even more difficult to get, because on those two type of on those policies, the whole life and the universal life, they do medical exam, medical lab. On the term policy, they don't do any medical labs. On most of them, they don't do any labs, but they are really inexpensive. You can get, they go by age. So someone who is 20, 30 years old, they can get policy for $15, $16 term policies. So it's simple, two type of policy, either term policy, whole life policy. One is like renting, and one you own it, which is the whole life policy.
I know one life insurance agent, he actually purchased whole term policies for his young children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think when they were born, he got policies for them. And he looked at that more as an investment for them than, preparing whether there was a
Very
death.
prepared to win.
Yeah. So you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that, buying that life insurance policy as an investment?
Buy life insurance policy as an investment. He bought it for his kids because they will be long term. Basically, by that time that they are 21, 18, 21, that policy has accumulated a whole lot of money that they can pull out of it. They can either battle against the policy or pull part of that policy. So as an adult, we can do that. My policy, for example, I do have a universal life policy. To me, is my investment policy. I say that's my retirement. I work for myself, so I don't have a regular retirement account. So I put certain amount of money on that policy every month, and I am thinking that is my saving, that is my investment. When I'm 65, 67, I am taking my policy back. I am taking all the money that it had accumulated. I had no children. So because I had no children, I really don't need to leave a whole lot to anyone. And I say, well, I will be able to use that as my investment. At the time of 65, 67, I can take that policy, take the benefit of that policy and use it on my own.
I mean, you make a really good point, because there are a population out there called solo agers, right? People who traditionally don't have a traditional family by choice. They don't have children, but they might have assets. And so I hear all the time, well, why bother having a life insurance policy? I don't have any kids anyway. So what you're saying is that it really is more about an investment opportunity than it is a death insurance.
That is a death insurance, exactly. To me, mine is my investment. Instead of saving $200-$300 a month on a bank account per se, I am doing it through the life insurance. If something were to happen to me at this moment, my parents, who are my beneficiary at this moment, will have the benefit of the policy. But if I survive to the 60, 65 years old, then, hey, my investment is there. Everything that I pay every month, that I put apart every month, plus whatever dividends it had earned, I will get it.
Let's talk beneficiaries.
Beneficiaries.
You brought up a really good topic here, and the beneficiaries, because some people don't realize, one, you need to update your beneficiaries. Just because they're on there once doesn't mean that you can't go in there and change them out. So right? How many times have you had a client where they put their beneficiary on and then they got divorced and they forgot to change the beneficiary? Has that ever happened to you?
No, because we actually send notice every so often saying, hey, do you need to change your beneficiary? It's time to renew your policy. Your policy is renewing. Is there anything changed? So no one had called me to say, I got my ex-wife in there, let's change it. but you can change your beneficiary anytime. When you buying a policy, for example, if you are buying a policy, a term policy for your kids, if something happened, if you're buying a policy, assuming, okay, I'm going to have a 30-year policy, but I'm just going to, when your children is 19 or 20, and you don't want them to be your beneficiary anymore because they are an adult, you can change it at that moment, and you can change your beneficiary anytime and with whoever you want to.
But you made a good point. Because I just had this conversation with another client. She wanted to get a life insurance policy and make her young children like underage. And I was like, they have to be over 18 in order to be beneficiaries, correct?
Well, no, you can have underage a beneficiary, but they will not get the benefit until they are 18.
Okay, so let's walk through that again. So if someone has a child, say they're a solo parent, right? They have a child that's underage. Maybe, they're not, they don't have a significant other. They want to make the child underage the beneficiary, but legally that child won't receive the funds until they're 18.
Until they are 18.
Unless there's a trust, and then there's a guardian, and then now a custodial.
Unless there is a court order, that then you have to go through all that. I had that case. I did have someone who has her kids a beneficiary, and she passed. And when they call us to say that the beneficiary passed, that the person passed, and that the beneficiary, we're like, okay, we do not have you, which in this case was the father of the kids. We're like, we do not have you as the beneficiary. You will not be able to collect this money. And we're like, okay, you have to take the company to court and do that. Well, he did not do it. The kids who was it was 5 years away from becoming 18. When he got to be 18, he then collected all the money. He got the fund, the original, plus any dividends that the company will give them. Because what happened, any interest, at that point when the company is informed that, hey, this person passed, they put that money on a bank account that gets interest, so that way the kids get the benefit plus an interest.
Can you just walk people through, what is the process of people collecting on their benefits, on a life insurance benefit? Because I think one problem I see is someone can obtain multiple life insurance benefits throughout their life. And part of the problem is that they forget, a 80 or 90-year-old might forget that they had paid into or purchased a life insurance policy. Years later, they're getting notification, or their heirs never knew about it. So how can someone consolidate all of the policies that are out there to ensure that their loved ones are going to be able to access those benefits? And then who do they contact? How do they know to contact you if one of your clients had purchased?
I saw many times when people say, what did I do with this paperwork when we gave them the policy? I'm like, make sure you need to tell somebody that you have life insurance.
A lot of people don't, though.
A lot of people don't. But that's why we're like, somebody need to tell the company that you die. The company will not know that you die.
People don't. People buy life insurance policies, and then they put beneficiary, and then they don't tell anybody about it. And then I hear it all the time.
They keep it as a secret because they think that if they tell somebody, they might die sooner. That's why it is.
So then I'm telling you, I just heard this story from a client recently who said it took them years later after their father died. Years later, they're still finding out that there are policies and accounts out there that they didn't know about.
Unfortunately, there is no way for them to know unless the owner of this policy told somebody. Unless the agent knew one way or another, knew this family and say, hey, I haven't seen this person. Let me call and find out what's going on. And this person died. Well, the person had a life insurance. But somebody had to be able to inform the company. Because if not, this fund got until the state, how does it call? I guess here in Pennsylvania, the state has some unclaimed
unclaimed assets.
Unclaimed assets, exactly. So if nobody claim it at a certain period of time, it will go on to unclaimed assets. But yeah,
$70 billion in the United States of unclaimed assets. And some of those unclaimed assets are unclaimed life insurance
life
policies.
insurance policies.
Do you have a
Mhm.
number of how much is unclaimed in life insurance policies?
I do not. I do not.
It's got to be,
It's got to be a
right?
lot of money.
It's got to be a lot of money. People just forget I paid for. Okay, it is. What if you died? What if the life insurance agent dies before the client? No, legit.
Well,
Like,
no, no, that is true. If I die, well, the company, what happened is if I die, my family, my significant other,
no, no, what
they,
happens to the what I'm your client
mm-hmm,
and I bought the policy from you.
mm-hmm.
Y- You die unexpectedly. I don't know that you died
You don't know
unexpectedly.
that I died, but someone can take my agency.
Okay.
The company, farmers in this case, will inform the customer. They will send letters saying Yris Contreras died, with your policy was transferred to whoever, and they transfer it to someone else,
Okay.
so that the customer know that the agent is no longer handling that policy. But the
So it's
company
good.
will take care of that. Yeah, they get informed.
Okay. So it's hopefully
Hopefully.
hopefully because people are in transit now. It's like how do you keep track of how do you get and that's thus we come to the unclaimed assets. This is when
That's
it
part of the
becomes an
unclaimed
unclaimed
assets.
asset.
Yeah.
All right. So you and me, us, how do we encourage people to make sure that their life insurance policy does not become an unclaimed asset? What can we tell them today to ensure that they don't become a statistic?
They need to be able to tell someone. If you buy a life insurance, make sure you tell someone. Make sure you have I do have a my final wishes book where I have there whatever assets I have, including life insurance, and it kind of say who my agent is, what type of policy I have, and who my beneficiary. If somebody get that book, somebody will be able to see, okay, she did have this, what happened to this, and she have the other. So I highly, highly recommend that. Keep record one way or another, put it in a little notebook and give it to someone to hold, or tell somebody, hey, yeah, I have a red book. If I die, go and look for that red book somewhere. Because it's a waste. That way you can put everything in there, but somebody needs to know what you have.
So
Somebody
you're
needs to
talking
know
what we build at Endeavo. We build a final playbook,
if I
right?
know.
We want to make sure that everyone is documenting your wishes well before that actual life event happens. And so
Mhm.
it's best, as you say, as a life insurance agent, like it's best practice to make sure that you're leaving a peace of mind
That you live
and
in
a
peace.
roadmap, like a
Exactly.
legitimate low roadmap.
And if they don't want to follow that roadmap, at least have something. At least say something. Again, somebody needs to have it. Somebody needs to have the information and see what is there. Even if they don't follow exactly what you want or your wishes, or if you don't leave it, okay, do this and do the other, but at least you know, I have this life insurance, I have this bank account, I have this house. So at least somebody know, okay, she did have that in that piece of assets. What happened to that?
Well, Iris, this was just a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. And, again, I think the Hispanic community really needs to step out of death as a taboo topic and embrace that life is for the living, but we want to make sure that we're living well.
We're living well,
Uh,
exactly. Definitely, definitely something that we need to come out of it, and which is why we are going to have you on the 23rd here at my office. So hopefully you will be able to put some sense into our guest here.
Which is true. On July 23rd, I'm coming to your office down in North Philly to be able to talk about digital legacy planning. And for most people, they might not even realize that it's not just planning their their physical life, but it's also what do they do with their digital afterlife? And that life insurance policy is part of their digital afterlife. And that's to ensure that it does not become an unclaimed asset. So I am super looking forward to the opportunity of meeting you in person. And with that, where can people find you if they wanted to get more information?
They can call me at my number 215-225-1099. I am in North Philadelphia. My office 3727 North 6th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But again, via my phone number, that 215-225-1099. I'm in this office every day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Dedication. Thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. I hope this conversation inspired you to take control and plan for the inevitable to protect yourself and those you leave behind. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at digitallegacypodcast.com. Remember, life is full of surprises. What happens after you die shouldn't be. So keep your passwords safe and your playbook up to date.